Hello and welcome to the ORCA podcast, our fourth episode covering and finishing off Survivor Canberra 1. I have to remember to say it correctly because Dan and Liv will be on here shortly, and I'm sure I've been told by Ma that I will get a slap on the wrist if I say Canberra Survivor. So I'm going to say Survivor Canberra. I've been saying it for 4 weeks. I've been doing a good job of it. We're finishing off our coverage on Canberra Survivor, the third season that we've been covering in the ORCA countdown. And then, as you know, if you've been watching, next, and I don't know if it's going to be this month, I might have a slight break over the Christmas period, but sometime we'll be starting, and you'll see when we announce it, the fourth season that we're covering, Backyard Survivor Exile, season 3 there. So you still got some time to binge it if you haven't before we start our coverage. And then after that, I've decided it will be appropriate to start the countdown. We had 4 seasons at the bottom that we've looked at that didn't make the top 7, but I don't think anyone from Melbourne Survivor is going to be bothered that, that's where season 1 was. And it's great, as great as this season has been in terms of the votes and what was done. Canberra have gone on to do bigger and better things, and I know we'll see them later in the countdown, so I'm sure there won't be an offense, and same for Backyard. So we'll start the countdown for real, but I'll be announcing what came seventh sometime during the Exile coverage. So it's the final part of our show. It's been an excellent 4 weeks of coverage. I want to thank Jules for the deep dive we did first week. I want to thank Jeremy for coming on and doing a full deep dive of his game and everything about it and his fantastic win. And Ma, of course, the winner of Canberra 2, joined me for that and gave her wonderful insights to such a strong winner. And then the tea party, the best tea party we've done 3, so, there's more to come. But Annabelle's hot tea show with Dom, Hoppo, and Ash was fantastic. Highlight of my approach was when Dom basically told Hoppo how, his feelings, his real emotional hurt feelings, and how he felt sad. And Hoppo gave him absolutely fucking nothing in a response. And that's why they're on the ORCA pod. And that's why they're on the tea party. But tonight we're doing the awards, and we might have some special guests and people that have maybe won awards or are eligible. But what I'm doing is I'm going to bring in the hosts of Canberra, and we can go through the awards and who they think maybe the audience has voted for, and then I'll be revealing the winners. So let me bring in the hosts and creators. We'll do the awards, and then we'll catch up with them and talk to them about everything that made this first season of Canberra Survivor happen. So without further ado, let me welcome Dan. Sorry, Liv, if you're ready, and Liv. Hello, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
No, I'm excited. I'm a Survivor tragic. I like to pretend that I know everything, but I'm fresh off a drunk Survivor pre-merge vote, so that's not pre-merge boot, so that's not amazing. But anyway, I was playing drunk.
Funnily enough, I saw a clip of that today. So
I was incredibly drunk. It's a very poor way to play Survivor, I can tell you. I thought that
the name of the game if it's called drunk Survivor, though, I guess, right?
That's right.
I was sure that someone had voted for me, one of these people I hadn't met, and in the first vote, it didn't matter. Like, it was just a dinky vote, but I accused him like 63 times of voting for him. And in the end, it was my closest ally, CM from Melbourne 2, who voted for me and was my closest ally, but he just did it because he knew it would make me paranoid as shit. And he's absolutely right. Anyway, yeah, he got me. All right, so the awards. First one, yeah. I want to get your thoughts, and then I'll tell you what the audience said, okay?
Okay.
The question was MVP of the season. Who do you guys think?
Ooh.
Wow, I was straight into it. Holy moly. Okay.
The big one, the big boy or girl.
That is really hard for me. What the audience? Who would the audience?
Yeah, the audience. You don't have to
reveal the truth. The audience. Yeah.
It's what the audience thinks. So you have to reveal.
Yeah, we're just predicting what the audience thought.
Yeah.
So we're remaining unbiased.
Yeah, I feel like I have a biased. I have a biased opinion. If I don't say Jeremy, he might be a bit upset.
Mm-hmm. You want to go with Jeremy?
So I would have to go with Jeremy. I mean, he's in the other room.
I think the audience would have voted for Jeremy. I think it also would have helped to get like his deep dive. You went so far into his game and his thoughts on the game. So I think that would have really enlightened people if there's anything they missed from the season about everything that he did on the season as well. So I think that would have helped and they would have voted for him.
Is Jeremy in the other room? Is that what you just told me?
He's listening.
Can we bring Jeremy in?
We live in the same house.
Can we bring Jeremy in for this?
Wait, are you roommates? What's going on here?
I know, we're roommates. Yeah.
Can we bring him in? Is that viable?
Jess, I don't know. Should I go and get him?
Yes, go and get him.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I can hear him coming.
Good. Because he may have won this. I don't know yet. We'll have to see. So, what I can tell you is that
he's watching.
Hey, what I can tell you is that Brad got 1 vote. Dom got 1 vote. Surely that vote was from Dom, would have to assume.
He deserved it.
Ashley got 4 votes.
Yeah.
Charlene got 4 votes.
Yeah.
But the winners were a tie of the man standing behind you and the man who I think was actually the MVP of the game, Ben. Welcome, Ben.
Oh,
Hey.
Hi.
Oh, I feel left out. I didn't have my buff on. Your traffic
I only
cone
put it
buff
on because I saw Liv had it. So.
Yes.
Going somewhere.
So,
Well done.
Jeremy and Ben. Look, we talked a lot about Jeremy. I brought you in because it's fun. I found out you were there, but I didn't bother bringing you in this because we talked about you so much with the big deep dive. It's wonderful. But we've got Ben here, and I wanted to take a moment to talk about Ben and his game, which he hasn't watched the coverage, but we know that everyone that I've had on here doing the podcast has been the biggest fan of Ben's game. In my view, you were the MVP. You were the best player. That's why they took you out at 4. You'd wipe the floor with all of them. Great. You had great plays across the board. You had great reads. You got idols and hid them appropriately. You had great alliances. People were loyal to you. They stayed loyal to you, even though you were such a huge threat. I was just blown away by the strategic and social game you played across the entire affair.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the kind words. That's so lovely. I really appreciate being tied with Jeremy. It's a gracious crown to hold for MVP. But I'm also glad people could see the game I was trying to play, and I had so much fun playing the first season. It was incredible. And funnily enough, I was actually going through footage on my computer today, and I found the footage of the final immunity challenge, the perception is reality moment. So I did relive that today, unfortunately. So
that was also another incredible effort. You got through the planking and the ball throwing thing, and you think that
I'm not somebody who gets through planking, and I'm not somebody who gets through running. So the fact that I got through either of them was insane.
And one of them you beat Brad, and Brad's it looks like the guy's going to be good at running, right?
Yeah, just terrible at aiming apparently. So
I can't talk more highly about the game you played, particularly the characters around this. You had people that were super fans looking to play very ORCA games, which we love here, like Hoppo, Ash, and Dom. And then you had people that basically seemed to know nothing about the game, that were playing really emotional games based on what matters to them about trust and loyalty. And you were able to and then you had people like Keegan who played 3 times before, and you were able to really didn't matter if they were a fresh-faced person to Survivor or an absolute super fan or someone trying to be a villain, you were able to build a connection and a bond and use that to progress yourself in the game, which is the best sort of player.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of, was my ability to connect with everybody and get a read on kind of where everybody's heads were at in the game. I feel like a lot of the times when I was making strategic decisions, it was using all of the knowledge that I had of how much knowledge they have of the show, of fan-made games, of where their positioning is in the game compared to where it actually, like, where they think it is compared to where it actually is, which is also like hard to do when it's a 2-day game. Like that first night I went to bed, and by went to bed I mean stayed up for like 4 hours going, okay, what do I know about these people? Who are they aligned with? Like, what's going to happen when we get to day 2? Like, I was constantly on. And I don't think I switched off until until I lost the final immunity, and I was like, probably going home, gonna try fight for it, but ultimately, obviously, did not snag a seat at Final Tribal Council.
I know that feeling absolutely. When I playing with Fire and I reached the merge, I could not get to sleep in the merge night, because I'm just thinking about all the permutations and who's what, and then I realized I was completely fucked. And then you're right. Then I came to the conclusion that Laurel had the idol and just accused her of it the next day, which was incorrect. But this is the sort of thing I do.
But that's the thing, you get in your head, like you start to like think about it and you overthink it through, and it's just like you convince yourself that things are true and that things aren't true. Like, there was a part of me when I went to bed on the first night, I was like, what if Charlene is going to cut me first thing in the morning? Like, what if that happens? I didn't think it was true, but there was a part of me that was like, it could happen. It could happen.
Well, before we send you away,
that's what makes you so good, though, Ben.
You got to think about all the possibilities.
So, that's right.
Before we go anyway, I want to talk about the final vote out.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, and talking about Charlene cutting you, you seemed like it actually did cut you a bit to have Charlene vote you out. And, it didn't even look like you were even thinking about voting for her. Was that a really painful vote out?
It was incredibly painful. I think, like I said, I like kind of had an idea I wasn't going to make it through once I lost the final immunity, but there was still that hope in the back of my head that Charlene might force fire. And I was that was kind of like the last little piece of hope that I was holding on to. And I think it was a throwaway. We've talked about it before, Charlene and I, but it was like a throwaway comment at Tribal Council that she made that I went, oh no, she's voting me. Like, I'm going home here. And it hurts purely because so close to the end, somebody that I've been like so loyal to the entire time, like it hurts. It sucks. Like, but I think because of how quickly the turnover is from like immunity challenge, then into a little bit of strategy, vote out, and then like I was maybe talking to jury members for like I wasn't talking to people for a long time, so I was still the freshest in the jury. I was still sitting in my feelings, and like, yeah, I look back at it now and like I wish that I voted for Charlene, because she did play a phenomenal game, and like she played me in the end. Like, it was really well done. But at the time I was just so hurt because I was like, damn it. Like,
we said in the coverage before, when we did the catch up with Jeremy and talked about how great Jeremy's game was. And what I loved about Jeremy's game, to recap, was I think his Tribal Council is one of the best that we've ever seen in LRG, and I think you'll struggle to see anyone in this community play a Final Tribal Council so well. And because what Brad was expected to be sort of the winner, and he sort of gave a like, this is what I'm saying, and he had it all planned out, and he just read from the script. It was fine. But Jeremy came in and reacted to everyone's responses perfectly and sort of gave them the answer they were looking for, but with something that was genuine based on the way he had played, and that's how you do a great Final Tribal Council. Charlene had a great game, but seemed to not have any idea she had a great game, and therefore managed to completely undersell herself. And I felt that her only chance was if you believed, if you decided to spruik to those guys. Now, Charlene's really great because XYZ, then she might have had a chance, but I felt she needed you for that.
I feel like if it was like a regular Survivor and like I had the like 24-hour turnover period to like sit and think about it, I probably would have been like campaigning so hard for Charlene on that jury. But purely because of how small that like turnover rate is, I was still just so in my feelings, but I could look back on it in like retrospect and be like, no, she played a phenomenal game. And I am very sad that she didn't get a vote, because she deserved at least one vote, if not several more, for the game that she played. Not to take anything from Jeremy. So,
but if she gets a vote, then we don't get the Ghost Island finish, which was the most iconic, perfect finish for this season. And she got the final say with that wonderful vote out where she says, these she doesn't say this, it's me paraphrasing, but these motherfuckers don't care about loyalty and honesty, but I do, and now it's my vote that counts, and that's where I'm voting,
I remember afterwards, Dan was talking about it, and he's like, Charlene's speech when she gives that final vote is phenomenal, and I cannot wait for people to like experience that once it happens. And watching that, because we did like the live viewing party for the season 1 finale, and like watching that live all together was like it was incredible. It really was a great end to a season that was filled with so many tied votes and so many like weird votes. That I wish Charlene got more votes, but it's also a really good ending as well, like story wise for the season.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. We don't normally talk to the award people this long, but we hadn't had a chance to catch up with you, Ben, in your season. That I wanted to have a little chat with you. And I knew, once I knew you were getting this award, tied with Jeremy is well deserved. So that's what it's all freaking out.
High five,
Jeremy. All right. So I want to say thank you, Jeremy. Congratulations, Jeremy, and thank you, Benjamin. Congratulations.
Well done, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Hi.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
That went a while, but I wanted to really catch up with Ben, as I said. All right. So now we have the Annabelle Award. Yeah, it is very good. The Annabelle Award for the best pre-merge boot. Now, this can obviously be won by Emily, Janine, Aston, Rose, or Carleen. Rose is already a winner of this award, having won it for Melbourne Survivor 1, when she went out at exactly the same place as she went out in this season. Do you think she's repeated the position, or do you think that maybe we have a different winner?
I think I would say Aston's probably got this one. Soda. I think Rose played an amazing game, considering she was only there for 4 tribal councils. Absolutely amazing. But I think Aston might get the votes on this one.
What do you think,
I agree.
It is Aston. Welcome, Aston.
Hey.
Yo.
Best pre-merge boot. I think hands down. Were you in 2 or 3 episodes? 3 episodes? 3?
I think it's 3. Yeah.
It was 3. It was 3.
You were dominating those episodes. You were going to tribal pretty much every one of them, I think, and you were the godfathering the whole thing until it all fell apart. I think, as I'm sure. Look, this is my view as a viewer, and I think Dan and Liv would have views as a creator. But I think you actually hold the season on your shoulders a bit for those first 2 episodes, because you're the most interesting storyteller who's trying to do quite dynamic things, as opposed to just go with the numbers or whatever, which tends to be how people play. Because particularly for first-time players, everyone wants to make it far. And everyone knows to play good Survivor, you shouldn't be big at the start. So when someone goes out and is big, that often can make you a target, which happened, but it made the initial story and your tribe story so interesting and compelling.
Yeah. So I just didn't want to be one of those people that sits around, does nothing, and then ends up backed in the corner. I just wanted to, if I was going to go out, I wanted everyone to have a reason to vote me out, if that makes sense.
And they did. It's because you're too scary. That's a good reason to get voted out, right? It's too good, too scary. Well, before I let you go, you are also eligible for the next award. Everyone's eligible. Well, not everyone's eligible. This is which one-time player would you like to see again? So you're eligible for this. And this is obviously only current 2 seasons that have aired. I don't know who or what is in other things. But for the seasons that have said, the people that couldn't be voted for this obviously were Keegan, Rosemary, Emily. Yeah, I think those 3. They were the ones that were ineligible. So, Dan, Liv, who do you think the fans... There's a bit of a spread here. Who do you think the fans would like to see play again?
I'm thinking Ben for this one.
Yeah, we're talking over the whole
Yeah.
cast. Yeah.
Ben?
I'm going to say there's got to be a vote for Dom in there.
There's one vote for Dom in there.
Yeah, I think there's one.
Dom's actually got 15%,
good.
and Ben has 15%.
Okay.
But there's actually people with more votes. There's actually a tie at 25%, and that is Charlene and Aston.
Hey, what was that?
Yeah.
The
That's why you
fans
kept
want
it
to
here,
see
obviously,
Ben,
right?
and look, the fans here. Madison was very excited you won that prior award. The OG Orca, the show the player this show is named after, James the Orca Wolf, says, calls you the OG Canberra Survivor villain. So obviously you're a popular man, and I know you've been following our show and commenting weekly. So I was so excited that you've won these awards and to get you on and to give you the real kudos you deserve. Now, you get me saying you're great, and that's probably worth like 80% goodness, but an award's good too, right?
I'll take it.
Well, hopefully we get to see you play again one day. The audience absolutely wants to see it. So I just want to say thank you for joining and for jumping in, make yourself available, and we'll move on with the awards. So well done, Aston, on those 2 awards.
See you in the comment section. Thank you.
Okay, so just now we have
Great choices on those ones, by the way. Like, I think the viewers have nailed it on like which players have really good potential. Like Aston, obviously, people could see his potential and what he can do in the game. And Charlene played an amazing game. Maybe didn't have the best final trouble council, but they could see what she was capable of as well. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. The next vote was: is this season too low or just right in the rankings? Too low means it should be in the top 5.
Too low. Come on. What are you talking about?
Well,
no reason to be biased here, but too low. Come on.
I can tell you that too low won. So
Hey.
the fans were spoken. Where were they when they were voting for with the actual seasons? But anyway,
Right.
So like I do. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 11, 1 being the best, where would you rank and you have to watch the other ones, but otherwise just give me a number. Where would you rank Jeremy's game compared to that of the other 10 LRG winners?
Okay.
I want to say I've watched about 7 or maybe 7 of them. I would rate him like maybe 2nd or 3rd, maybe.
What do you think?
I've only watched a couple, so I'll have to go with you, Dan.
Maybe I'll go 3rd.
Yeah, it's hard for me to rank this year because I've only got 3 ranks. I did them, but my personal rank for Jeremy is 3rd. That's my personal rank. And
Out of the 11.
Out of the 11?
Yeah.
And we've currently got the fans voting. They gave Toby a 6.33, so they think he's better than Toby. Though most people have, unless you watch the coverage, you don't know Toby's game because it's only 40 minutes on. Yeah. But if you talk to him, watch that coverage, it's actually a pretty impressive game. But people at this stage rank Sally's game in Backyard 1 over Jeremy by 0.2. I don't really see that, but who am I to question democracy?
Yeah.
But we'll see how that flows in as we get more votes and more seasons done. And now the most important award of all. All of these are basically meaningless, but the award that matters is the ORCA award, the Bromilow Medal, named after Ethan Bromilow, the inaugural winner from Sydney Survivor. Now, the fans do get to vote for this, and I take the fans' votes, and they get a 3-2-1. But really, they just get a 3-2-1 that goes with all the ORCA councils 3-2-1, because it's more of an oligarchy of ORCAs, less of a democracy on this award. Now, I can't do the amazing job that Annabelle does as to explaining what ORCAs are. It's pretty spectacular when she does it. And sadly, she has another podcast commitment tonight. She has many podcast commitments now that she's a real reality TV star.
She's a celebrity now, of course.
She's now a celebrity. She's got a real podcast, like actually appearing on RHAP instead of my ORCA thing. But it's actually about being narcissistic. It's about being all about yourself. It's about being over the top. It's about not playing incredibly well because you're just so obsessed with yourself and self-interest, and being big and bold and brash. So the ultimate votes for this, Ben got actually a vote. I guess people thought he was a little bit awkward. I can see it. This is from
Okay.
the ORCA Council. I'm combining the ORCA Council with the actual the votes, the 3-2-1 that the crowd gave. Hoppo got 3. I can see it. Isaac got 6 votes. A lot of people love the hungover didn't show up to the next day behavior for an ORCA. Just doesn't give a shit. I know you like to believe he had COVID, Dan, but I've never met a single person on this cast that thinks that way besides you.
Too nice,
Alex,
obviously.
Alex, for one of her episode titles, someone said, but equally also like the disgusting remarks are just absolutely incredible of how disgusted she was by Dom and his shirt taking off moment, which is the highlight of the season. Ash got 5 votes, but in a real runaway here, I don't think it's any surprise that Dom is the ORCA of the season. He joins Kevin from Melbourne 1, Ethan Bromilow, the original winner, and from Backyard 1, he joins Matt, who was voted out very early and was salty as F about basically everything about the game. He kept complaining about the rules and had the rules wrong, and that wasn't his fault. Just very salty. He was able to win Backyard 1's award, but Dom, I think, is a clear winner here. Now, Dom could be available because he's with his nieces and nephews or something, but he has prepared a video. If you just give me
Oh, no.
one second. Here we go.
Oh no, I can't hear it.
Hear it?
I can't, no.
I can't hear it, CK.
Oh no. Hang on, let me try.
I feel like I can hear it by looking at it, but I can't.
All right. Well, the video's not working. Well, thank you for letting me know about that. But he basically was as humble as you would expect. So that's the award.
Yeah, we love him.
So can make it, but he deserves that award. He was so incredible on the season as a big character, particularly at that merge vote, an exceptional moment for the season. So thank you for tuning in for the awards, and now's a chance to catch up with Dan and Liv about how this all came together, which I find really interesting when I catch up with people when it's the first season. So from your perspective, was this Dan's thing? Was this Liv's thing? Is this something you got together and just really wanted to do as a pair? How did you guys come about to do a Survivor together?
This is all Liv's thing. Liv's baby, Liv's thing.
Yeah, I just know so much about everything, like everything to do with the production. I'm just all, my whole idea. No.
Reading between the lines, are you telling me you just rock in, host this thing, and rock out? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, look, it's Dan's project, and I mean, he can tell the story about, how he, I guess, came up with the idea, or not came up with the idea, but wanted to start this in Canberra. But I'm just a support act, and I'm the chief urn holder, and really I'm a support act for him, and I'm just there to support him, to try to create the best product that he can. But it's really it's Dan's it's Dan's project.
Can I just say she does this all the time, like all the time. She downplays her role in the whole thing, and it makes it sound like she just rocks up, as you said, and hosts, but she's obviously like an integral part of the season and honestly of the series, and I couldn't do it without her. So don't listen to her when she downplays her role in everything.
That's right. This is the ORCA podcast. I don't want giving people credit. You take all the credit you deserve, exactly, and more. That's how we do it here.
I do everything.
I just remember rocking up on that. I mean, I'm probably going off this a little bit because we want to come back to how it all started.
Free-flowing conversation, so bring up whatever you want to say.
I just remember I have not been a Survivor fan, like a lot of people, since I was a young child. I mean, I got into it quite late in life. And it was through Dan, and because he used to live with Jeremy, and that's how I met Dan, because I was going out with Jeremy.
Are you
And
still going out with Jeremy, or is this just an awkward housemate situation?
we're still going out, yes. And I had never watched Survivor. I knew it was on TV. I'd probably watched a couple of episodes, but never really got into it. And so through Dan having, I think Jeremy told you the story when he was on, I think last week or the week before, whenever he was on this podcast. And so, Jeremy started watching me Survivor. And then when lockdown happened, so in 2019, 2020, we just went ham and we went from season 1 to season 40 in like a couple of months. And I just became so incredibly obsessed with the game and just with everything to do with Survivor. It just became this huge obsession. And I think through that, Dan had been talking about, then I don't know when it was, Dan, if it was that year or the next year, you were talking about maybe when did we film season 1?
We filmed in March 2021.
Yeah.
But
so it must have been
I think we
2020.
started talking about it like maybe like even a year before that in 2020. Like it was like peak lockdown.
Yep. And and well, our stories differ.
Yeah.
But Dan's story is that he was talking to Jeremy about, Jeremy, you should play Survivor. And then I was in the background like, what am I going to do?
I want to go.
And Dan was like, you can host with me. So that's how that happened. In my mind, it was like, Liv, we should host together. Oh, Jeremy, you should play.
It's very strange because I don't know about, maybe you have a different experience with casting your seasons, Dan. But when I was involved in the casting of Melbourne 4, it's incredibly hard to find women. Like there's a bazillion dudes you could put on the show. So I'm surprised you're recruiting men and pushing the women, bringing the women into a wonderful role.
In hindsight, that was a really poor decision because obviously you saw Emily was in the cast too because we didn't have enough women, and Emily was an alternate, which was obviously Keegan's sister, which is not ideal. So in hindsight, maybe I should have been like, Liv, you should play, like, Jeremy, maybe you can host with me or something.
But I think that's why it happened, because I wasn't keen to play, because I thought, there's no way I can do that. So I was really happy to be.
Do you feel like you still feel like that?
100%. Having watched it, watched all the shows, plus been in live games, watching it all happen. I think it's incredible that people can do it. Sorry.
Yeah, people try and recruit Liv like every time, we're filming.
All seasons are watching.
Anyway, look,
I think that if you played, you would finish second out of all the hosts that have played.
Second about all the hosts that have played. How have the other hosts done? How have they?
Sam won.
Oh, right, of course.
True.
Liz is out like second or third in backyard.
Yeah.
So
how did Kyle do?
Kyle makes it just past merge. So I think that you'd go like mid merge, Liv, like fifth. You'd be like, you'll finish 5th or 6th. That's my prediction.
Oh, thank you.
I think you know the game too well, and people would figure that out. And you're too nice. You would have been too nice, plus played too good of a game to get to the end. So that's why I think you're going out 5 or 6.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see.
She's not that nice. We played a game of traders online, and she got quite nasty with some people.
Okay. This is even better.
My moral compass intact.
This sounds like
there were some arguments, CK, between
other
Canberra alumni and Olivia. Someone in the chat might have some knowledge of that as well.
Yeah, I've seen that little chat pop up.
It sounds like dream casting. Someone accept one of these recruitments, Liv. Absolutely. What about you, Dan? Do you get DMs trying to recruit you to play?
No one's recruiting me. No one's recruiting a white man in their 30s, funnily enough.
I know the feeling. Okay, so did you said, hey, Liv, obviously you invite, so I can hear the story here. You invited Jeremy into the show. Liv's in the background going, where's my opportunity? And you go, look, you can come host with me, okay? Did you anticipate that you guys would be such a great dynamic as co-hosts. I've said this before when we were covering Canberra, the Ultimate Sacrifice. The co-hosting that the two of you do is so naturally strong. Like, you don't talk over each other. You seem to be on a similar wavelength. You're supporting the concepts. And as much as I love Kyle and Brian and Backyard, and I think they do a great job as co-hosts, I don't think they do it as well as you, even though they've been friends for like their entire lives or whatever. Whereas you guys are like, obviously, more recent acquaintances, now friends, now partners. But you guys seem to have such a balanced dynamic. Was that a surprise when you started doing it, or did you think that that's how it would play out?
I feel like I knew when I asked Liv, because I wouldn't have just asked her if she was like, what do I do? Like, I knew Liv would firstly be a great host. Like, she's clearly got a lot of charisma, and she's great on camera as well. So I knew that she'd be a great host firstly, but we're also just like the same person in different bodies. Like, we're able to play off each other well. We have the same thought, and the best part of like filming like a season is just getting to hang out with Liv and like just laughing the whole weekend. Like, we just laugh the whole weekend, have a blast. So I knew it was gonna work no matter what. She might think differently. I don't know.
I reckon it works well because Dan is so expert and I'm not. And it's kind of like, you know, you were talking about a bit earlier in season 1 how you had some people who knew the game, like Ben, who knew the game just so well, and then other people who didn't know the game at all, but that kind of created a good, you know, kind of creates a good dynamic in a way. So I feel like it wouldn't maybe work as well if Dan and I were at the same level, maybe. I don't know. We just kind of have we offer different things maybe to the discussion, and it's
I think I understand what you're saying. He does more of the survivorisms that are sort of ingrained to be there because you're sort of used to saying them. But then you provide your own dynamic, which is really positive. I think your tribal councillors are very good, but I think particularly in Ultimate Sacrifice, and I know we're talking about season 1 here, but in Ultimate Sacrifice, your challenge commentaries together was very, very good. I think challenge commentary is probably the hardest thing to do as a host on one of these LRGs. I think it's the hardest thing that any of the Survivor hosts do. You could see Jonathan LaPaglia not be very good at it in his first season and how he's improved a lot. And obviously Jeff was not like that at the start and became a bit of a master at it. And then let's be real, as good as we try and make these challenges in the LRG, sometimes they're pretty basic activities. So to commentate them in a way that is interesting and exciting is very difficult. And I think the two of you provide a wonderful dynamic there that keeps it a bit more interesting.
That is so interesting that you say that, just quickly, because Dan, don't you reckon that's probably one of the only things we don't actually like discuss and stress about? Whereas all the other moments of
that's so true.
Like, we talk about the intro for weeks, like ad nauseum on, you know, before we start. And then we talk about, you know, what questions are we going to ask a tribal council? Like, what's the theme here? We never really talk that much about what we're going to say during the challenge or things like that. So that's just it's just kind of natural, I guess.
Yeah, I think challenge commentary is improv. So this is how good you are at it, really.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I always feel like we suck. Not we. I feel like I suck at challenge commentary.
We don't think that about us. It's interesting you say that. Yeah.
Well, so you saying you think you suck, you guys are just putting yourself down constantly. How do you feel when you watch this back, when you've got to edit this for hours and look at all the things you said? Do you feel good? Or you're like, hey, this is actually pretty good?
Yeah, Dan.
For the first like week, I'm hating life. I'm like, I'm ugly. I sound stupid. Like, why did I say that? And after a while, I've watched each clip like 100 times, so I don't care anymore. Like, it is what it is. Like, I said what I said, and you know, I can edit out some stupid things I said, so that's great. I leave Liv's stupid comments in, and I edit mine out, obviously. So, yeah.
You can edit it out, but sometimes there's things that you got to leave in. But
Yeah.
I agree. After a bit of time, you realize like if you are editing something, then it's like you're getting a bit close to it, but it's actually fine. Like it's done well. Well, Dan, what inspired you to make your own Survivor LRG? Had you watched some Backyard? Had you watched Melbourne? What was your inspiration to do your own?
Yeah, so I was actually watching, funnily enough, the next season that you're doing, Backyard Survivor Season 3. Andrew is on that season, and he was a big part of that season, obviously. And we were watching it together, and I was like, why don't we do one here? Like, we could do that. That'd be fun. And then that's when I was messaging some friends, Jeremy, Liv, and some other people. And then it did snowball from there. People were like, yeah, that would be fun. Let's do that. And all of a sudden, it was a thing that people were expecting to happen. And I was like, oh, shit, like, we've actually got to do this now because people are expecting it to happen. And we had no idea what we were doing. Like, we turned up on that weekend. Like, just thinking people would be in for a laugh, honestly. And, like, when that happened, when that first tribal council happened, as you saw it play out, which was so wild, and everyone was taking it so seriously. We're like, oh, people are actually taking this seriously. This is great.
Now we have to take it seriously. Oh my god, we haven't planned for this.
Yeah, we were like, oh, okay, I guess like we have to be more serious now. No, but yeah, like it definitely just snowballed from there. And then season 1 was so fun. Like it was just fun, even with all of the rain that we had and all of the trouble with the weather we had. It was a lot of fun, and the players were amazing. So yeah, and then we continued to do it, and it's obviously grown from there into something completely different.
Were you watching Backyard Exile because Andrew was on it, and you obviously
so Andrew was the one that recommended for me to watch it because he was on that season. And then I remember watching the first season, the Backyard Survivor season 1. I think at the same time as we were watching season 3, I was sort of watching them simultaneously. And I just thought it was the coolest thing, what Brian and Kyle were doing. Like it was just that really wholesome Survivor experience. Like everyone was just having fun. Everyone was, living out their dream of like playing Survivor that like not many people get to do. And in Australia, like not many normal people get to do. And it was like, we could give that experience to people here as well. Just not knowing people would take it so seriously.
Well, I know that a big crew of people that were creating, and I think Laurel was there too, that were creating Melbourne 3 Playing with Fire, the season that I was on. I think it was only a week or 2 weeks after you filmed. And I think that Liz was there, Liam, Liz's husband, who was on Melbourne 2 and is part of the crew. I think JP might have been there.
JP wasn't at the first one.
Liz, Liam, Laurel. Anyone else from Melbourne?
I
that might be someone. But how did they come? That they had their own one only a week or 2 away, which is mad preparation time. That they've come up to Canberra for the weekend to help you out. How did you meet those people? What made them come and want to help you out for your season?
So I had been getting a lot of advice from Liz in the lead up to the season because it was during that really heavy COVID time. So it actually from planning or coming up with the idea of doing it to actually filming the season was about a year, just because with COVID it kept getting delayed and whatnot. So I was talking to Liz, and I knew Liz from, at the time there were like online games, like a lot of online minis that were being played during COVID. So I knew Liz from that, and she really helped with a lot of advice about just things that, waivers and, filming and audio and whatnot. So she was such a great resource to go to for me, just to get, advice on what to expect and what to actually do. And then I can't remember if I knew Laurel already as well. So
Liz has flagged that Marty also crewed, but I don't think any particular franchise can lay claim to Matt C, or Marty as people call him, because he is the absolute crew god who goes around this country crewing everybody season.
Oh my gosh, I remember that weekend. Like, I can't tell you how miserable the weather was. Like, it was so bad. Like, it was so bad. And you just, when I think back and I was like watching some of the footage, obviously, since we've been going through it on this podcast, and because I haven't watched it for a little while, and it was so bad. And I remember seeing Matt, and he was in his big trench coat, in his big Raiders trench coat.
Yeah.
But wearing shorts.
I just met him for the just met him for the first time, and just being like, who are these people who will come to Canberra on a weekend like this and put themselves through this? Like, it was phenomenal to see that type of dedication. And I think he said to me that, like, that evening when we'd all wrapped and we were all hugging and it was like so emotional, it was so much fun. And he was like, he said something like, you know, once you get kind of bit with the survivor bug, you just love it and you just can't stop and you just sort of keep going. And I sort of have never forgotten him talking to me that night, and just what that meant, and what the start of, you know, what that season kind of meant for, you know, Survivor Canberra. It was just,
and the creation of your community. Like, every show has their own community, but then they all sort of smush into one big community that everyone is so positive about. And it is a very positive community, which I think is really exciting. You know these people, even though sometimes you haven't met them in person. Like at Drunk Fiver, for Tara's birthday on Saturday, I just happened to be in Melbourne, so I did this 2.5 hour drive down there, and I'm there with you know, Matt P from Sydney, and who I drove down with because I met him when he crewed Melbourne 4, and Jules, who played on Melbourne 4, who I did this podcast with, and then like CM, who I haven't seen since he crewed playing with Fire, but like I've played online with him, I've chatted with him online. Marty, I've seen a lot. I met Kyle for the first time there, but, you know, it feels like I know him from watching him and doing these interviews. Like, it's really like, you know these people even though you don't know them, and you don't need to see each other like every day to have this community. You can see them occasionally, and it's still, we all love the same thing, and we all want to we love Survivor, and we want to create these experiences for people where they can have a chance to have a game. I want to now ask you slightly about casting, because Keegan's shown up going about the weather. What made you think, as great as Keegan is, and he is great, but I do actually think Keegan's a fantastic person, but why, and a great player, but why did you give him a third shot? What was you thinking there? Cast issues, or?
Do you know what? No, we actually had a fair few men apply. The actual thing that I can remember thinking is that Keegan's going to add legitimacy to the season, like as a, you know, someone that's entrenched in the community and is known as a good player. I was like, he's going to give the season a shot in the arm regardless. Like, people might actually take this a little bit seriously, seeing Keegan here. That was that was actually my thinking when we cast Keegan. Yeah,
I think that's actually what it did. I think Keegan is like the Colby Donaldson of the LIC community in all ways, and I think that he brings that like star power. Certainly after the game that he played in Yards Apart, which was an incredibly strong game. But anyone knows he's so outdoorsy. He just has that Survivor vibe. So no, I like that reasoning. I think that's very true, and I think it did give it some legitimacy, and then that gives legitimacy to the other players and to you and what you're trying to create. So it's a fantastic answer. I have some reduction questions for you. Did you realize that the clues that you were making were ridiculously complicated and no one's going to find the stuff?
They were, though. They were not hard to find.
And they were very in sight
as well. They were so easy to find. Like,
what was the water clue, and where was the water idol?
Oh, the one at the beach. That was at the beach. Yeah. Okay, that one wasn't hard. That one was a little bit hard.
Maybe.
It wasn't a big area though either. I've got to say, like, it might look like a big area on camera, but it wasn't a big area at all. Like, you could cover the whole area in a few minutes, right? Like, especially the shoreline. If it's like water, Like you could
So
cover
was it
that
by
whole
the shoreline? Where was that idol? We never know because you didn't get the opportunity to do one of those little like Survivor like flashes, you know, they do like when someone walks past it.
I thought we
Like,
did.
flash.
Yeah. It was at the beach, not the beach, but like where the
bank?
sandbar was.
The bank.
The bank.
Embankment? Bank.
Yeah. And it was just under like a little bit of weed. But not that difficult to find. I think there's one scene where Brad runs over there and he
When
runs
you
right
mean when
past it.
Keegan pushed him over?
Yeah, after that, just after that.
After that.
He literally walked past it. But I think the rain probably didn't help either. Like people didn't get a chance to expand too much. But these idol clues or idols weren't that hard to find, I promise.
I just remember the clue Alex read out, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then somehow she found it, but we didn't see her finding it. That was sort of the surprise at Tribal. And equally, the one that Ben got at, was it Ben? Yeah, at the swap about the tree and the bark. He didn't find that either.
So I think that one was something about like high up in like a white tree or something.
Yeah.
And there was probably like 5 white trees in that whole site or at their camp. So I think these people just are a little bit blind and they need to get their eyes checked. So.
Keegan has said that it was very obvious if you went near it, but he also hilariously has said that he thought he got on because he made an awesome video. Sorry. No,
I mean, that too.
Well,
but maybe it's hard as well. Oh, sorry.
No, you say, Liv.
I was just thinking, you know, I think Ben touched on this when he was on before, that it is a really condensed game, right? And we even shortened, like we've lengthened the time frame now in the, you know, later series sort of thing. And whereas we sort of kept it pretty short, I think, in season 1, just because we sort of didn't know what we were doing. We were like, oh, we better get out of here before it's dark, and we didn't have lights. And so you do we had to hurry people along and hurry things along. So, you know, do you search for an idol or do you sort of talk to people, or, you know, I guess there's so much going through your head. I can see why you'd be like, oh, I can't find this idol. Like I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, look, you know, the only time that I spent, you know, a long time looking for an idol was when I knew I was going. Like, and I know I'm copping the votes here, so I might as well spend this whole time looking. But otherwise, you're right. You don't really have that opportunity to look in an in-depth way. More production questions I have here. Ash once told me that it was always the plan to send them to hotels or wherever they were staying, their home on the night. And some people have said, though, during the interviews here that no, there was a camping plan, but it was too wet. What's the actual story here? Which was the truth?
So there was a campsite about 5 to 10 minutes away, which they were all meant to camp at. But that was like on lower ground than where we were, and it literally got washed out from the river that you can see in the show. And there was so much rain, we thought, you know, it's not safe. Let's just get them into the city, into the YHA. But they were meant to camp. Yeah.
Like those waivers did not cover washout from the river. Those waivers
drowning.
Yeah.
What was the thinking about, or did that drive the decision to have them merge at the start of the second day, or was that always the intent? Because I think in season 2, you merged them before at the end of the first day, so they have the night if they want to do something, and other seasons have done it that way as well. Was there a thinking on that, or was that just sort of what occurred?
I think for me, and my memory is hazy on this one.
Yeah.
But I think the idea was that we would stop filming because it was really pouring down really heavily at the end of day 1. You can see in Carlene's tribal council that it was really coming down, bucketing. Yeah. And we thought, let's just stop filming now. Like, it's getting dark. We could have filmed the merge then, but it was so wet that it would have been hard to film anything. And there was a hope that we would wake up the next day and it would be sunny and nice. And then I remember like opening the blinds the next morning and it was coming down just as heavily, and it was like, well, fuck. Anyway.
I remember we spoke on the phone, Dan, at like 5 a.m. and I was like, do you reckon anyone's going to come? It is so wet. Like
9 people came.
People will not turn up.
Well, we're doing that now. This is the third. Okay, so you say on the thing that Isaac wasn't feeling well and it was a COVID thing, and I saw that on the episode. I'm like, oh, poor Isaac. I'm like, he's sick, and then it said in these times of COVID. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember COVID now. Yes, that's very responsible of him to give up his spot in the game to make sure no one else gets sick. And then everyone who's come on this podcast is sure that he just went to some party and just woke up and was like, nah, can't be effed.
These people are too cynical. You have to believe. You have to believe.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, all I know is what Isaac's told me, right? And like, I am one of those people that if people tell me something, but then if they come back a few weeks later, which he did, and he backed up the story with the same thing, he did go to a party that night. That's the truth. But he said he woke up the next day feeling sick. And he also didn't want to get other people sick. So that's the story that he maintained weeks later. So that, I choose to believe him, as I said to you, CK. Whether it's the actual truth or not, I don't know. People lie all the time.
He kind of helped us, to be honest.
And he could have got sick from drinking too much. Like, that's also possible.
Yeah, that is possible. And look, let's be fair to Isaac. He did us all an incredible favor because if he's there, the merge vote is less interesting because the Reds just have stronger numbers. And then we don't get the Ghost Island finish. So the most iconic moments of this season resulted from this 9-person merge. And look, I can go two ways how he would have played, because he seemed like someone who didn't know that game that well and might have just been a number. But then again, he was aligned with Ash and voted for her and then just told her about it. So he could have been doing all sorts of chaotic things at the merge also.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have been good or bad, but he did do us a service. Now, while we're talking about the production decisions related to the infamous merge vote, and Jules and I went to some detail about our opinion on this. Why did you decide to break from set down established Survivor rules and remove Brad's second vote on the revote?
I honestly think I just thought that's how it worked. Like, and I think that the actual advantage was just a parchment. Like the parchment came in the package.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, you can use this parchment to have an extra vote. So it wasn't like an extra vote where you, like in the Survivor traditional rules, it was just like an extra parchment to use at any stage. And that's what I'm sure we put the parchment in there, in the actual package thing. And that was just he was free to use that at any stage. But I also don't think I really was that clear on the rules either.
Well, look, I'll tell you, number one, Survivor does the extra parchment thing too, but I think they would just give them another parchment at that point.
Right.
And two, this is not a rule that's that clear, because I don't think it's ever actually happened, but it's been clarified on a number of like Survivor podcasts about times when it almost happened, and then like Rob Stistonino's talking to the contestant and they're like, what would have happened? And he's like, well, production said to me that I would have had a second. So there's it's not something that's actually super clear. And it's
definitely something that's come up in the community after that season was filmed as well. And like after seeing that, I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Like, and if I had seen the discourse around it before that, I probably would have done that, and it would have made for a more interesting vote as well.
Except Dom doesn't get voted out there, and then it's maybe not as interesting.
Yeah, but no matter where Dom gets voting out, like he's going to create some sort of scene, right? It's going to be amazing TV regardless, so it's fine.
It was such an incredible scene.
It was funny.
Do you think that oh, sorry, CK.
No. I always talk. You just give me your words. Let me go.
Do you think that, I mean, it really was such a learning. I think we talked about this the other week, Dan, that we kind of, like you and I and everyone, just went into this season. We had no idea what was going to happen. And so have you used things like that scenario to then inform how you manage the game mechanics and stuff in the other seasons.
Do you know what it is though as well? Because I've been talking to this about the people that I come up with, like do the game mechanics with now. Like I didn't really have anyone to bounce ideas off then as well, or to bounce game mechanics off there. And there's definitely decisions that I would have made in season 1 and season 2, to be honest, that would be very different if I had someone to bounce those ideas off. And whereas like in season 3 and season 4, the game mechanics and the decisions that are made are discussed ad nauseum. And like I think that has helped definitely. But in season 1, like it maybe if I had someone to bounce those ideas off, it would have been better as far as those decisions being made.
I think you're absolutely right. People have an idea, this is a great idea, what a great twist. And then you do need people to sort of like, well, what about X, or how's that going to interact with Y? Like Dan, is not just hosting and running this amazing one with Liv, came and helped crew Melbourne Survivor 4, which is yet to air. But as Dan knows from being there was quite a lot of intricate twists going on. And that was hours of debate between myself, John Lou, JP and Vince, like about, on a video call, this is my idea. And they're like, no, that's stupid. Or how's this going to work? How's that going to work? There's, you have to have that to really tease through the working out. So I can appreciate that, you're trying to throw everything together here and you just sort of, there's so much organization and you probably didn't have the crew to delegate different things to. Yeah,
and you need someone to play devil's advocate and look at what, with every twist or with every advantage, what's the worst case scenario, or what's every scenario that can come from this. And that's what we do now, and that's probably what you would do as well, CK. Like what scenarios can come from this, and are they scenarios that we would like to have, or are they going to be bad for this season? Are they going to be good for the season? And then decide if we should go ahead with it or not. Obviously,
yeah. I'd say Mel's here and she's excited to see you live on the show. But Mel, we did have words. Mel burned me in Drunk Survivor on the tide vote.
Mel's very experienced at drinking, so she probably would have rocked that season, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know. She seemed very confused because she went into the vote saying, because you get all the confessionals, that there wasn't the numbers to survive to keep me, but there were the numbers. But she voted for me instead, so it's 3-3.
Oh, that's a lie. She's lying to you for sure.
And then on the revote, she's like, "I'm going to flip my vote to CK." I'm like, "You voted for CK the first time. It's not a flip." Anyway, I don't know if she was super confused or what. She actually made, for anyone that followed Drunk Survivor, Mel made the final 3 and lost by just a smidgen of 2 votes. That's a whole cast, 17 voting.
Wow.
She lost by 2 votes to Maddie.
Mel.
Well done, Mel.
Yeah, right at the end of Drunk Survivor. So Drunk Survivor legend there. Yeah, she said, "Shh, Dan." Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think Mel's that dumb either. I think she's very smart. She knows exactly what the hell she's doing.
Knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else that you want to talk to about the season or your experience? We'll obviously be talking to you again when we cover the ultimate sacrifice. And obviously that's a whole different experience again with your learnings. But is there anything you want to talk about season 1 here before we finish up?
You go, Liv.
I don't know. I think it's just I think it's been fun. I haven't recapped much of season 1 for a long time. It was really fun to go back and see where we've kind of been and to know now really in a pretty short space of time where this Survivor Canberra has got to. And I think, it's so many bloody good memories from that season. And I think given that it was the first one, given that you were kind of like just throwing it at the wall and hoping that something would stick. I mean, it was a pretty phenomenal season, amazing cast, every single person, an amazing crew as well. And yeah, what fun. It was really good. And, there's just been bigger and better things really since that season.
Look, absolutely. I know I've only seen Ultimate Sacrifice, but that was a huge step up in terms of the production. And that's not to knock anyone season one. Like your season one is your season one, but you learn a lot of things. And season 2, Ultimate Sacrifice was spectacular. Great cast, great show. And I am so excited to see Canberra versus the world. And I know you've just filmed season 4. So when that comes out, really excited to see these seasons as you guys and your production quality improves. The crew you have gets bigger. You learn from experiences. You've got more people to help you. You get perhaps a more interesting cast because you've got so many people to pick from, or so many men to pick from, and you got to find the women still sometimes, but you got a lot of men to pick from.
It's absolutely cracking women as well.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying there's bad women. I'm not saying there's bad women. I'm never saying that. What I would say is that all the women that apply for Survivor, these are awesome because they're the sort of women that want to put themselves out there to do something like this. But it's sometimes hard to find enough of them. That's just my personal experience. I'm not saying that's everyone's experience, but people have shared similar views with me about. But every woman you do get is awesome because they're the sort of person that really wants to throw themselves into this.
Yeah, and we had a great cast for season 1, and I wish the production values were better to sort of match the gameplay and the cast that we had. But at the same time, like we went from like 10 crew members on season 1, so to produce a season at all, there was a lot of stuff that you didn't see that didn't get filmed, but like they captured as much as they could. They worked tirelessly in the rain and in the cold. We've gone from 10 crew members to season 4, we had 40 crew members. And sometimes there wasn't even jobs to do for people. So, without season 1 and the crew that we had and the cast that we had, we wouldn't have a season 4, and we wouldn't have, more importantly, the community that we have in Canberra now. And I think that's the most important thing that we got out of this. Like, we got a community of great people, that love Survivor. And they just, love to have fun and get out there and do stuff. So, yeah. And also thank you, CK, for doing this. You've been amazing doing these podcasts, which has really been so fun to watch. So, yeah, thank you to you as well for doing this.
No, I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Liv, and thank you, Dan. The whole reason I'm doing this is so I can be on TV for an hour every week. The reason I'm doing this is because, a lot of people haven't watched these seasons or haven't watched them all or haven't had that opportunity to go because they only joined the community later, or they've only watched Canberra because they're in Canberra. They haven't really checked out Backyard. And, we're all busy people and it's hard to find the time. And this is a chance to, even if you don't watch it all, but to watch a bit of it, and you can get it more summarized in our podcast form. If you watch it one day, there is a podcast. I want to bring people that are in the community that haven't been part of the community for the whole period to get that chance to get that exposure. But I also wanted to have that opportunity with people that were on the season, because I know you guys have your own podcast that you do with Milo, and some things do that. And Backyard had a little bit of coverage on this Live Reality Games, but not heaps. But not everyone got that full Survivor experience where you had your episode aired and then you got booted and then you got to have an interview or to watch someone talk about your game and the way you played. And I thought this was a good opportunity, particularly for those older seasons, for everyone. It's not everyone, but we've had on this thing, we've had Aston, we've had Dom, we've had Hoppo, we've had Ash, we've had Jeremy, and now we've had Ben. So everyone, get that chance to just come on and talk about your game a little bit. And I just wanted to give those people that played earlier the opportunity to have that little moment of someone reflecting on what you did that they didn't get back in the day, because no one was doing that sort of thing back then.
And even from the season as well, like there were rounds where people maybe got skipped in confessionals because maybe they weren't a part of the main storyline, or there just wasn't enough time. So some of those people may have not been able to explain their games on camera as well as they maybe could have. So even for them to be able to go through this after maybe not getting enough time or airtime on the season, I think that's really useful for them as well. So that's awesome.
Mel would like a 1 versus 2 versus 3 versus 4 season. She's just angling for another shot, just FYI. And the Orca of the season wants to know who's coming back for All Stars. He really just wants to hear one name, and that's his own. But yeah, that'd be.
And I believe Liv's taking care of the cast for All Stars. I'm sort of taking a step back from casting.
Are you doing an All Stars? Are you doing an All Stars?
Yeah. Look, I've never made it a secret. We would like to do 6. Well, I would like to do 6 seasons. I would like to do 6 seasons. I would like to do a newbie season 5, and finish with an All Stars on season 6.
And then you're finishing.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how we are doing when we get there. But that's for me. I like to have a light at the end of the tunnel, just to know all the work. There's a culmination of the work as well. So for me, when there's long days of editing and planning, that that light at the end of the tunnel does help, I think, as well.
It makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. We all do this in our spare time. It's a lot of time. You can't do it. You can't do it forever. It doesn't mean you're never not going to do it again, but equally, I think it makes sense that you have a plan like that. That's really exciting. I think that All Stars will be really exciting when you get to that final season, and can really pull together the story that you started telling here and that we're going to see through the rest of the season. So excited for that in the future. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Liv, so much for coming on. It was great to meet you, Liv, virtually, and to see you again, Dan. We'll be catching up with you again, of course, at another point. But for those that are looking for the next segment, we are moving on to Backyard Survivor 3 Exile. I think that if I can binge it, which I'll try to, we might have the season recap before Christmas, and then some of the extra activity with it after Christmas, and then in January, and then from February, I want to roll into the sort of top 7 as we count them down. And I know, I think there's a really good 7 coming in, and I'm really looking forward to. I don't actually finished Exile, so I'm looking forward to watching that. Now I actually haven't finished this season, as Dan knows, and I've never finished Brisbane actually either. So there's a few of these seasons that I haven't watched before, just because there was so much going on with different.
A lot of content.
Yeah, and part of why I did this, of course, I reached out to everyone. I reached out to Dan. I reached out to Kyle, and I'm like, when is your next season coming out? Anytime soon. They're like, no. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw this into this gap to keep this community going while there's no season. So it might be we get some overlap, but regardless, it's so good to be part of this, and I really appreciate your gratitude. I appreciate everyone that is on the chat each and every week. I appreciate everyone that listens to this at another time, where they're running or exercising or doing housework or commuting or what have you. Know that people do that, but it's always great for the people that can attend live and comment as we go. Mel loves that when she's doing it. She didn't love enough to not vote for me, but she loves that we're doing it anyway. No, it is really good. So thank you to everyone, and we'll catch you soon on our next program where we'll be covering Backyard Season 3.
Thank you, CK.